Hey, 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 hey. How you doing? Happy freaking New Year. We did it. It's 2020 right now. It's 2020. We made it. Oh, there goes my washing machine. I'm trying to do more laundry in the new year, so my clothes stay cleaner and I don't smell as bad. So today on the show, I am very, very excited to have Brian Dunne. Brian Dunne is a singer-songwriter who has an album coming out on, I believe he said, April 10th. I was very excited to talk to him. Went down to the Newport Blues Cafe and Lounge, maybe, or maybe it's just the Blues Cafe, but he was opening for Mr. Stephen Kellogg. We're in a green room, so it's a little bit reverberant. There's a natural reverb in there, which sounds actually kind of cool. Stick around for the end of the episode because he plays a song live in the green room, which is very, very cool. So yeah, I'll have all that information of what songs are in the intro and the outro in the description. So make sure you read that. How was your new year? How was everything? The last show of the year in Richmond was fantastic. It was super duper fun. It was kind of like running up really close to Christmas. So it was nice to get home pretty quickly after the show because I had not finished my Christmas shopping. So that's that. But I did. I finished it all like I usually do last minute and went to my uncle's for Christmas Day. We have Christmas Eve at my parents'. We have dinner and stuff, and then went to my sister's for Christmas Day. So it's a lot of driving around. Even living in Providence and being closer, it's still a lot of driving. So that was fine though. It was a fun couple weeks. But just played with Dan Mills opening up for Monty R.I. at the Strand Ballroom in Providence, which was just one of the most fun experiences and one of the most fun shows that I've ever done. It was really, really exciting to play there in front of, I think it was like almost 1,200 people, and it was like a high school reunion pretty much. I felt bad because I didn't really get to go out and talk to anybody afterwards or during the show because there was so much stuff going on. We had to do all of our, be ready for the opening, and then the changeovers were really fast. And then we did kind of like a marching band drum line in the middle of Monty R.I.'s set. So that was really, really fun. It was a reunion show for them. They were just smiling ear to ear. They had all the same energy that they had 10 years ago. It's like indie rock. It's heavy music. Stevie Aiello is the lead singer for that band, and he currently plays and musical directs for the band 30 Seconds to Mars, which I'm very excited because we got to sit down and also do a podcast. So that will be coming out in the next few weeks. I'm also thinking about doing a live stream for one of these podcasts leading up to the Rock Boat. So if you have any suggestions or ideas for that, please send me an email at afterthegigpod@gmail.com. We'll also be doing other episodes while we're down there answering your questions and hopefully getting a bunch of interviews on the Rock Boat. I'll be getting a post-game interview from Eric Donnelly, just to, if he can hold it together. That's if he can keep it together after his inevitable defeat on the basketball court. But we will leave that for another time. That's fine. We don't have to talk about that here right now. But subscribe, download, rate, review the episodes. I almost said it hurts. It helps. It helps a lot. Suggestions, always send an email. Hopefully, all of you Patreoners got your stickers and your notes and all that good stuff. It was really a pleasure to write those out and to send them along. And thank you so much for being a part of it. We're about halfway to the goal. So if you are thinking about maybe supporting the podcast, or if you are curious and that's something you don't normally do, but you just want to check it out and see what's around, go to patreon.com/afterthegig. There's tier levels as low as $2. And if you get in there, you'll be supporting the show and my ability to, get to places and get better interviews and make sure that the equipment is running the way it should and all that good stuff. So moving on, let me bring up my calendar really quick. Man, it's just so weird to say 2020. We're in 2020 right now. It's crazy. January. So I'll be doing an acoustic set solo at Devlin's Restaurant on Thursday, the 9th. That is 2 days from now. If you want to come out and see that, come out. It's like dinner time, like 7 to 10 or so. So I'll be doing that. There's food, great drinks, all that good stuff. So come out on the 9th. Then the following week, we are back at it, man. I fly down to Richmond on the 15th. We rehearse and do some stuff on the 16th. Then we're in Durham. 17th, Charleston. On the 18th, 19th in Atlanta, Georgia. 20th, Orlando, Florida. 21st, Tampa, Florida. 22nd, Boca Raton, Florida. 23rd is quote unquote off. And then the 24th through the 29th, I believe. Maybe it's just the 28th, whatever. But that's the Rock Boat 2020. So, or the Rock Boat 20th anniversary, which will be great. Get to go on a boat, get to go to some places down south and warm up for a few days, which will be really fun. Moving into February, the other thing, I'm doing a solo acoustic show at West Street Tavern on Thursday the 6th, which is I believe that's Newton. I'm pretty sure that's Newton, Massachusetts. So, I mean, I fucking live in Providence right now. I'm up there more than I probably ever have been. But anyway, so that's that for now. So, yeah. I know I mentioned that I have a announcement to make. I am not going to make it right now because I have to talk to someone about it really soon. I hate to be vague and weird about it, but I just can't say anything until I get an A-OK. So I am going to wait on that. So stay tuned probably next week or in between then. I may do it on the Patreon. I don't know. I probably won't do it on the Patreon before then because I don't do the Patreon podcast until a little bit later in the month. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. All right. I think I'm done with this spiel. Please enjoy this conversation I had with Mr. Brian Dunne. I'm very excited about his music. I'm very excited about his tattoos. And it was, I remember that night being a really, really fun show. I went out there with my wife, Genevieve. We always like to find an excuse to go to Newport. So we went down there. The place was across the street from where we had our wedding reception. And it's always nice memories right down there by the water on Thames Street. And yeah, so enjoy this conversation. Enjoy stay tuned for the music after the episode. And I look forward to hearing from you. And I hope you have kept your New Year's resolutions for the first 7 days. I am doing intermittent fasting and I have been doing it and I get so hungry at night. It's absurd. And I'm really hoping for that to subside very soon. But yeah, that's my story. I'll tell you more about it next week. Please enjoy your week. Stay safe out there. And Happy New Year. Peace.
I don't know what happens next. Perhaps I'm stupid, but I thought more or less there'd be a lesson here for me to discern. Maybe I missed it or there's nothing here to learn, but if you walk me home and let me ramble on, you might find a little comfort in the world I roam. I wanna be your friend, don't let me end this night alone. There's not a light in the sky, and you can almost feel the anger in the motherless night as the gunshots in the projects accrue. But I won't hesitate to take a bullet for you, and if you walk me home and let me ramble on, you might find a little comfort in the world I roam. I wanna be your friend, don't let me end this night alone. What else could you have to do? Wake up tomorrow in your lonely little room. There's a chance we could both be dead by then. Life is what happens when you got no plans, and if you walk me home and you just come undone, you might find a little comfort in the world I roam. I wanna be your friend, don't let me end this night alone. Some say that we're
Do you have siblings?
I have a brother, yeah.
You have a brother?
Yeah.
Okay. Was music for you guys a completely different thing? Is he into music at all? Or your parents, anything?
My brother is not
Okay.
a music person. My
Mine isn't.
parents-
Mine isn't either. My brother
Yeah.
is the least musical. I've never heard my brother sing anything.
Yeah.
I've never heard him carry a tune at all.
Yeah, maybe that's like, I don't know, my brother's 18 years older than me, so...
My brother's 8 years older than me.
Okay,
So,
but that's still,
not
like-
quite there, but
yeah.
still.
I definitely... And my folks aren't musical per se, but they had good stuff around. You know
good
what
stuff
I mean?
around. Like didn't deter you from doing this.
No, great stuff, and definitely a high value on like reading, music, movies, art, books,
Okay.
everything.
Did you read you read a lot as a
Yeah, I read a lot as a kid.
You still read a lot?
I try to.
I feel like that's a common denominator in good songwriters is they read a lot.
Yeah, I think reading a lot is just good for anybody, right?
Yeah, that's true. I've been making a big effort to read a lot more, and it was actually since I met Stephen. It's funny enough we're here now. It's like just whenever I'm reading like a little bit every day, I just have better access to my vocabulary. I've just, I can just think things through a lot better.
Totally.
And
Yeah.
when I'm not, when my brain is like stagnant, or when anyone's brain is stagnant, like I also find that I don't play drums as well.
Right, because you're not
The
you're
neurons,
not exciting the muscle.
yeah, the neurons aren't pumping the way that you want them to, and
Yeah.
and when you're actually, actively thinking and working through things and reading and trying to interpret things, it's like, this is way better. This is way
Yeah.
better than not doing that. And then when it's songwriting, I imagine it's easier to find the words you're looking for and make rhymes. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a good songwriter.
No, well, I think I'm not a good drummer, so. But yeah, there's a point, and you and I both went to the same school at the same
Yeah.
time, right? You were there 07 or whatever.
07 to 11.
Yeah,
Berkeley College of Music.
Yes, we don't
Boston,
tell people that
Massachusetts.
much, but
that's right.
They make too much of a meal out of it. But
That's true. I love how whenever you're talking to someone, like if you're at a gig or whatever, and you never bring it up first, and like when someone alludes at it, it's like, oh, did you go to Berkeley? And then when it's like, oh, I did too. And then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, thank God, we can talk about it.
Yeah, people you're like, oh yeah, I used to live in Boston. I lived over in the Back Bay area.
Yeah.
I was going to school over there.
Around Mass Ave, you know, or
150.
somewhere between 149. Yeah, it's kind of silly. I've had that conversation with so many people.
It's it's not that I'm ashamed of it or anything. It's just that it becomes the selling point so often, and people make too much out of it. Like you're some sort of like like trained robot. And it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know. You don't think that if somebody says they went to like Stanford, you know, like and they're a musician.
You know what I really think it is?
Stanford's not a music school. So that makes sense. But
Yeah. You know what I think it really is, why people kind of like dance around it, is because I think the people that didn't go there want to know if it was worth going there. So when you talk about it, you're like, oh yeah, I went to Berkeley, and since they didn't go, they're like, oh well, was that really necessary, going there and doing that? Which I think is a valid conversation,
Yeah.
because I don't personally think it was 100% necessary in my own experience. I don't feel that way for everyone, because I think everyone's different.
Yeah.
People have networking skills a lot earlier than others. Mine came much later than they did. Like, you know, there were guys when we were there that were just like playing with everybody, and I just wasn't that guy. I feel like I was more introverted during my time at Berkeley than I ever was at any point in my entire life.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean,
I was very intimidated by the talent that was there, because where I grew up, I was a big fish in a small pond.
Of course, the same. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I went there, it was like a whole new world. So
Right.
it was just crazy.
Yeah, it was. I remember feeling very overwhelmed my first year, and like spending more time with like kids that went to other schools in the
Yeah.
area, you know, that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
I
And then
hung out with a lot of BU kids. Like
Yeah.
my band that I was in was all BU kids.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was
So,
over. Which band was that?
Love in Stockholm.
Oh yeah. I thought you guys were doing good.
We were. I mean, we did great. But as soon as college was over and everyone moved away, like our fan base just like dwindled.
Man,
It was just gone.
wasn't that a bomb? That's like a big moment in my experience. So I sort of like, I went to Berkeley, and the first year was tough, but then the second year I started to like get some traction and start to like meet people and make friends, and I became friends with some songwriters and started to like being able to book shows and fill rooms, and
Yeah.
and I really thought that was real. And it's not that it was fake, it happened.
Yeah.
But when I moved to New York after that, thinking that this would just be a continuation
follow
of that,
along.
I got my ass kicked so hard for
Really?
like 2 years. Yeah, it was brutal. It was like the worst years of my life.
Well, was it because you had to convince other people in a different place, in a bigger place, to come out to your show when there's so many options?
I think yes, but also I was misguided about the importance of the work I was doing in Boston.
Oh, gotcha.
The world didn't stop for you in Boston, but people were excited if you had some sort of raw talent.
Something going on.
Yeah, if you had a thing, they would come out because they were like, just want, as an insurance policy, they'd be like, here, this kid's got something, let's make sure if he blows up, we're on board.
Yeah, I want to
You
see
know?
what this is all about.
And then in New York City, there's no love for raw talent. It's all about developed talent.
It's all about polished.
Yeah, not even polished, just they don't care that you wrote a song on an acoustic guitar and you think it's pretty good. Like, you know what I mean? They're
Yeah.
like, there's a lot going on here. There's 8 million people.
Yeah.
You know?
Show us something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was brutal, honestly. It was like,
What's your experience like there now, after being
much
there for a
different
while?
now. I've been there 8 years.
Okay.
And the funny thing is that New York is like that. Like they do actually want to come out and see, but you have to go a lot harder, and you have to do a lot more because it's a big city. Now I have a great experience in New York.
What are some of the things you have to do that are different than like? What are some of the aspects of working harder? Is it just getting out there, like putting more content out to get people out to shows? Like, what are some of the moves that you had to do?
I found that like I couldn't get people out to shows in New York until I started doing shows elsewhere. And once I started developing like a touring career, people started showing up in New York because they wanted to know
Interesting.
what was going on with tours. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They'd
Well,
see that
also
you were out on the road, and then they'd come on out to the show and be like, "Oh, I saw you were out on the road."
Yeah, it's
And
like you have a
slowly-
thing going on,
Exactly.
and you're actually making moves, and now we want to,
Yeah.
take you on as our own, like hometown kind of thing.
Because I was fully, and And I just like to share this because I know that there are kids right now that just came off the bus that are in New York that are playing at Rockwood at like 5 o'clock on a Tuesday, and they're like,
man.
"How the fuck am I gonna
get
to the top of this trash heap?" And
I still do that every now and then.
Yeah, and that's so funny there because like the daylight, it's if you haven't been to Rockwood Music Hall, it's a room full of windows essentially, and it's like the daylight is blaring in. It's like you're being confronted with your failure.
The best part about playing a 5 o'clock show at Rockwood Stage 1 is that overwhelming glare of sunlight.
Yeah, you get a sunburn at your show, and they're like, "Here's 2 drink tickets or a drink ticket," and you're like, "Man, it's literally like it's lunchtime."
It's like, so this is New York, right?
Yeah, of course. Oh man,
this is what I was promised by moving to the big city.
Yeah, and I was so ready after like too ready after school that when I got to New York, it broke my heart so
really
deeply. It was so, as somebody plays the blues on the piano behind me. I just was so destroyed over it, and I know part of it was the naivete. Berkeley did a great job of building my confidence, but maybe a little too much. You know what I mean?
Okay. In what way?
I mean, when I got there, I thought I saw this what I considered to be a hierarchy. And then through my 4 years there, I felt like I had
ascended.
And I thought that meant something.
Well, I think it means something. In that world, it means something. But I mean, to kind of ascend as a songwriter in that situation when there's so many other kids doing it, I think is a big deal. You know, in the grand scheme of if you're comparing yourself to like, Jason Isbell or anyone at the Grammys or whatever,
right?
It's a different situation, but I think taking that as like a win and an accomplishment is important.
Totally, and I don't look back on that with a lack of fondness, but there were a couple of years afterwards where I was kind of like angry about how dumb I had been, where I thought like, how could I have thought that qualified me for any sort of tangible success.
I'm angry about how dumb I was every day. Those were vastly squandered years for me. I mean, I loved my time in Boston, and I stayed. I lived there for a long time after, and but I just wish I feel like I could have done so much more. And
really?
And even the fact that I didn't know you or Liz or any one of these people there just really kind of spoke to me not adapting to where I was. I mean, not really even being able to adapt to where I was.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I were to do it now with the brain I have now, then sure. It would, I would have a leg up.
Right.
Because I know what it takes. I know, like, what doing it means and all that stuff. But, and yourself included, I'm sure if you went back, you'd be like, I could take advantage of so many other resources here.
Oh, of course, yeah. That's especially practical resources.
Practical resources. Yeah. And I think that is something that is vastly misunderstood by most people that go to Berkeley. Yeah. It's like you are in a place where you can just absolutely, if you can create these relationships and put the work in and have people realize that like you're in it for the long run and you're not going to be one of these people that drop out after a semester and go sell insurance or whatever. It's like you can really do some damage. Right.
It's funny that you say that because it sounds like you wish you had been more confident. I wish I had been less confident. I wish I would have like had some perspective on what it meant to get the nod of approval from people at the time where it.
Hi, Stephen.
Hi, Stephen. So Stephen Kellogg is in the room.
Now we can't talk about Stephen.
Oh, here he comes.
Yeah. Is that the new iPhone?
10. iPhone 10.
The newer.
New for me.
Oh no, that's new. I think I have a 6.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't be less adroit at handling it. I'll send you this picture and look forward to hearing this podcast.
Yes. We talked about you twice already.
You have?
Yes. All nice things so far.
We're here. You're in the building.
See where it goes.
You're next.
Okay.
Jess,
No one likes this.
listen, you don't know what they like. You have no idea.
If you're
whatever.
famous, it's charming.
Get out of here. You're cutting into actual real conversation.
Okay,
right.
keep it compelling.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Fucking Jess. Unbelievable. What were we saying before we were so rudely interrupted? Confidence.
Oh,
at Berkeley.
confidence. Yeah, confidence.
Yeah, I didn't lack confidence. I just my sights were set in other places. Like
Yeah.
I was partying in Alston. I wasn't
Yeah.
doing my best to make sure I was completely prepared for my juries, and I probably picked the wrong major. Like I was a business management major when I had I had really no interest. I did that as like, oh, if I get a business, if I'm in that, I'll have a fallback and I'll know how this all works. I didn't know anything worked until I got out and started touring.
Right.
And that was the real education for me.
Of course. And I mean, there's no, and what you come to find out is there's absolutely no substitute for nobody. For a couple of years, I think I was angry because I felt ill prepared for what I was up against. And what I've learned over the last 10 years is no one can prepare you for this. It's just, it's a crapshoot. Everybody's experience is a little different. I mean, we all there's, it's dressing rooms and venues and, questionable rest stop bathrooms, but
See more of those than I care to indulge.
But there's no, everybody's path is different and everybody has to, you just sort of have to know what's right for you.
What does being prepared mean for you as far as you're doing a lot of opening gigs, you're probably doing a lot of house concerts and stuff, and
not as much anymore, but
okay.
Actually so basically what happened was I the first 2 years in New York, I kind of hung around, tried to get what I thought at the time was discovered, which I thought was a thing. It's not a thing, kids.
A funny story actually about being discovered. So the first episode of this, and a guy that I play drums for, Dan Mills, we were playing Rockwood Stage 1, and there was a casting agent from the Broadway show $1 Million Quartet who was there. Literally discovered. It was like one of those classic stories that never happens.
He told me that story.
Yeah. And that's right. You guys hung out probably at Pat McGee's thing.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
And then my buddy Anthony got signed to New West at Rockwood 1 too. And I'm like, you guys are ruining the narrative that I've constructed.
This does not happen.
Yeah,
this does not happen.
It's not something. It's like banking on winning $1,000 on a scratch off. It happens, but don't put a down payment on the house yet.
Exactly. It's like being one of those people that hangs out at the convenience store that gets scratch tickets all day, every day, and is banking on that to work out for them.
And you can't.
It's not a good business model.
No, and there will be amazing, seemingly magical things that happen, but you have to start doing it. You can't just wait for somebody to come get you.
You got to be in there. You got to be talking to people, playing a lot. You got to
playing a lot,
good songs, and
and so the first 2 years, I was definitely hanging around Rockwood Bitter End, kind of just playing whatever songwriter circle, 2 songs here, 2 songs there, waiting for somebody in the crowd to just come up and be like, I'm so and so, like the guy in Wayne's
Mr.
World.
Dunne. I'm a man in a suit, and I want to give you a record deal.
Exactly. And so when I realized I wasn't shaking out, I started booking these DIY tours, and they were mostly comprised of house concerts in the beginning, because I figured out that even if these people, because usually a house concert, for those who don't know, it's you play in somebody's living room. It's usually a fan that puts together a show. But I didn't have any fans, so I would go on other people's websites, and all house concerts had an RSVP email for the host, and I would just email that email and be like, hey, I do house concerts too. Any chance you'd want to have me in? And I'd go to play for these complete strangers who had no understanding of my music, and they'd pay me nothing, you add up nothing 10 times and it's a little something, and then you turn it into something a little bit more.
Man, that's smart.
That's
something that a lot of people don't understand, because a funny thing, actually, it was probably one of my Berkeley teachers. It was like, if you want to play the Paradise, you go up to the box office and be like, hey, how do I play here? And I thought that was the scariest, most ridiculous thing I had ever heard. And then, one day, I didn't do it at the Paradise because that's crazy and would never happen. But you go into a place that has music and you go and talk to the owner and be like, hey,
Yeah.
I play, I want to play here. And then usually they're like, all right, well, send us an email. And then they never
Right.
get back to you. And then you go in
For
and,
sure.
and you try to keep it going. And
Well, I think a lot of people, when I at least like occasionally I'll give people advice, even though I probably shouldn't be doing that. But what I find that people do is they ask a couple of venues if they, and it's like you got to be asking like hundreds. to mill. It's like
it's absolutely a numbers game.
Yeah, you gotta like if you want to book a tour, you gotta like you're gonna be hitting up like 50 venues in Charlotte asking if they're available on that night before the evening muse gives you something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you're booking like when you're booking DIY tours, you're doing some house concerts. But what else are you booking? Like, are you trying to find like restaurants or actual venues? Like, what are you trying to?
Well, how it's sort of,
is it only by yourself?
Well, how it sort of transitioned. This was probably like I want to say like 2012, 2013, and I was doing a lot of it with my buddy Ken Yates.
Okay.
Who's a great singer songwriter, and we would put on these nice house shows, and like he would bring in a Bose tower, and we'd like set up our merch, and it'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
And most nights I would say like on average we'd split like $400. So $200 for each of us, and we do like we go out and do 10 shows. It's $2,000. I mean, living in Brooklyn is not cheap, but it was fine. Like you could.
Yeah.
So and what I started to realize was as I would. Some of these house concert venues like sort of doubled as like, yeah, they were in people's houses, but they were a little bit more established. And they would have me like, they'd be like, well, why don't we have you open for a bigger act? And then, and so what happened was slowly through that, I started transitioned into opening for people, and I realized I could hit more people. You know, because at these house concerts, it would be like 30 people a night for 10 nights.
And if you open for somebody, it's maybe you're in front of a couple hundred people.
Yeah, maybe 300 people in one night. I'm like, and my goal has always just been to like share the music with as many people as possible. I'm just like, well, this is just a sheer number of, this is just not economical. I can hit more people. So I started reaching out to talent buyers at the venues and asking like if I could snag the local support slot on like a Justin Townes Earl gig. Like there's always one like dangling off the schedule that doesn't have an opener.
It's like I need somebody, and then if you're the squeaky wheel, you might get that grease, you know?
Yeah, exactly, in the tertiary markets. And the goal was always like, look, I'm gonna go do this gig in fucking the middle of nowhere, and they're gonna be like, oh, are you from around here? And I'm gonna be like, no. They're gonna be like, well, what are you doing out here? I'm gonna be like, I came to open for you for $75.
Yeah.
And the hope was that they would hear my set and take me on the road.
Right.
And that's kind of what I've done. Like that's totally what I've toured with a bunch of acts that's how that happened. Yeah. They threw me on one. I did a good job.
And they're like,
took
come
me on
back.
4 more. I'm easy, you know.
Dude, that's the way that, what other acts have you been like opening for? Well, first of all, have you seen like returns as far as opening for someone and then maybe booking your own show in the same area? You know what I mean?
Again, a lot of this was years ago. So now I headline a lot of the venues that I opened at.
So you're seeing that now,
and all the while, building elsewhere. But it's just like that was the clawing I had to do for the touring.
Okay,
and then musically, I made a record right when I first started touring. It's not my favorite record. It was a good start.
So why isn't it your favorite? Like I remember Liz talking about how she really didn't like Weightless. And,
oh really?
Yeah, and how she mentioned that it was like it just seemed like an kind of in between thing, and I really liked it. Mm-hmm. But I always find it interesting, like artists, how they're like, I don't know. Like, why didn't you like that one?
I just think at the time I was just trying to get out of my life.
Interesting.
And I think I was just painting with a limited amount of colors.
What was going on with your life? What do you mean by that?
I was playing in a wedding band in New York, and I just needed to get out of there. Okay. I was like, I was 22, 23, and I was going to kill myself. Like I was like, this was not what I'm supposed to be doing, but I needed to pay the bills. And I just was like, I need to just make a good songwriter record and get out on the road. Yeah. And so I did that. But what I hear when I listen to it is like, I think I have a lot more to offer than like just a songwriter, just a guy who wears hats and sings songs about trains or shit like that. You know, like there's 2 trains on that record, and that's too many. You know what I mean? But like at the time, I was like, I thought that anything involving playing your own music was a beacon of integrity.
Okay.
And now my definition of integrity has shifted. It's got to be on a certain level, and keeping pushing forward. But I think I'll always feel that way.
Yeah.
You know, right now I'm sitting on this new record. I think it's my best work.
That's awesome.
And immediately all the records behind it get pushed back.
Well,
You know?
I think it's important to look forward constantly and do that kind of thinking. But like, so now that you mentioned your new record, I really like the social media stuff, like
thanks,
the
man.
videos and the photos and the stuff. Like, I really like it.
Oh, thanks, man.
I think it's really cool.
Thanks. That's, well, you know, the social media thing, that's a whole other ball game, right? That's like the whole...
Yeah, that's a thing. That's like a nut that no one can really crack except for like, you know, quote unquote influencers that are making like $5,000 for a post or something.
I mean, good for them. I think them.
I would do it.
Yeah,
if I had 1 million followers.
God knows. I came to it, all of it, very late because, like, I think there was a little bit of, like, pride with the vanity, like, holding back on the vanity of it when it first came out.
Yeah.
And
but speaking of, like, integrity, there's a thing, like, I don't want to constantly put myself out there, and I don't want to feel like I feel like I'm not selling out, but, like, feel like I'm being disingenuous.
It felt like when the platforms came around and, like, well, I mean, Twitter's been around since, like, 2007 or whatever, but the early years of that, I considered myself like a person that wouldn't do something like that.
I mean, same here, me too. And I'm like, I love it.
It's the proverbial rooftop by which we have to yell that we have made art. That's how I think about it.
Yeah, totally.
So I try to keep it loose and light and fun, and make sure that I'm being clear that my intention is to share with people that I'm making stuff.
Yeah.
I'm making stuff and I'm excited about it. And I want you to hear it. And this is my poster.
What excites you most about this? I don't know why I said most like that. What excites you most about this new record?
I just think it's there's a joke going around right now that's like my least personal work yet. No, but like it's my most personal work, and I think this record is the thing that I've been trying to say forever with music, about how I see the world. And I think that if you see the world the way I see the world, that you'll connect with this record.
Okay.
And I think that I was really focused on writing by the book good songs on like my first EP and my first LP. I just wanted to write songs that anybody could sing.
Okay.
Like, you know, like I kind of like, I don't know, I wanted to write like Amazing Grace or something, some song that was so classic.
Yeah.
Or We Shall Overcome, or
something that would be hard to not be able to sing.
Yeah.
You know, like you hear it and you're like, and you have to sing it.
Yeah, something that just felt like it had been around forever. And now I actually kind of want the opposite.
That's a lofty goal.
Yeah, and what I ended up coming up with was, at least how I feel about them, is a lot of songs that were neither here nor there.
Yeah.
And what I want now, maybe this is just, I don't know, maybe it's just the cocktail of drugs I've taken, but what I want now is to write songs that only I could have written. You know what I mean?
Interesting, yeah.
So like you hear a song by me and you're like, oh, that's him. He could have written that song.
That's a Brian Dunne song, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I like that. So how do you see the world?
I mean, in a lot of different ways. You know, I mean, it depends. You know, it depends on what we're talking about.
Yeah. What are some of the titles of the songs?
The album's going to be called "Selling Things," and that's a song on the record. And the track list there's 2 singles out now. One's called "Harlem River Drive." The other is called "Nothing Matters Anymore,"
which you will hear probably in the beginning or after, or well, you'll probably play one of those. Or
yeah, I'll do one of those. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just a take on the whole album is just sort of a take on everything that's going on now, and how I feel and what I think of the way things are going down, both like, you know, socially, politically, emotionally. You know, I think I've always had like a heightened empathy for just people living normal lives, because I think that life is something that we don't ask to be born. Yeah, and it can be incredibly painful just to be alive, and I just want to share my heightened sensitivity to that for anybody, even just like the mundane pains of everyday life.
Yeah.
And I don't think like I'm done with like needing to wrap my stories up in a bow. I think just sharing little vignettes of how sadness or pain manifests can make somebody feel less alone, and that's the ending of the song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if I articulated that quite.
I think you did.
The way I mean it, but.
And the way I can kind of like, I don't know, the way I see that and the way I think I interpret that is like, you know, we travel around the country a lot and you see a lot of things like people's lives in Indianapolis or on the East Coast are much different than people's lives down in El Paso.
Right.
Or in San Diego or whatever. So like you see that in San Diego that there's people that are choosing to either be homeless or they ended up there because they're on drugs or whatever, and their life experience is so much different than ours,
right.
which is supposedly the right life experience. And I you know, inherently disagree with that because everyone's life experience is a life experience, and there isn't a right or wrong one. And I think that we put that on each other, which creates pressure and which creates, you know, fighting, whatever, you know. So it's like, I think that's a great way that you look at things, and I think people being opened up to other people's lives and realizing that there is a different way to do this thing, and maybe providing a little bit of a window into that is like really sweet and like really really nice.
Well, I guess I just want to make people feel better, but not by telling them it's okay. Because sometimes telling somebody that it's okay when it's not makes them feel
when they
worse.
don't believe it.
Yeah, and it can make me feel. I've been in audiences where I'm standing in the crowd and I'm listening to the singer and he's saying everything's gonna be okay, and I'm like, I don't feel that way tonight, and I now somehow feel more alone. Yeah, and so I just want to share, you know, like all the dark corners that I find, so that other people that feel alone don't have to feel as alone. Yeah. Like I think that believing, it's just, I don't know, just getting into this thing about not feeling okay. Like knowing that you can like sit in a place where you don't feel good when things aren't right, and know, like have hope that they will eventually be there, but still be okay with the fact that they're not right now. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, that was that takes some therapy, right? Yeah, totally. To learn to not try to course correct everything. Yeah. And just know that, like, all right, this sucks right now. Yeah. So this is happening, and maybe tomorrow I'll figure out a way to get out of this. But today, I'm gonna feel like shit. Yeah, and I think that's probably the one of the changes, especially on this new album, that with my writing, where that definitely on the last couple records felt the need to tie things up thematically. Yeah, and just like as a storyteller, you just kind of like want a beginning, middle, and end. Yeah, totally. But I don't feel like that anymore. I kind of just want to share, like I just want to populate my songs with the things that make me feel like I'm seen, that you want to talk about. And then are your songs like shorter as a result, or is that just like maybe a thematic thing? Yeah, more thematic, because actually this record is pretty, every song's pretty, nothing's coming up under 3 at least, you know. So no, it's just it's just a different style of writing, and it gets me excited, you know, because I want to keep being a better artist. I want to, you know, that's the main goal here. I want to get better. I want to keep I want to be great. You know, like I want to be like the greatest. Has getting married affected your writing and your maybe just like approach to doing what you do? Or is it just like now you just have a teammate that's got your back? Well, we've you know, we're married, but we don't like each other. No. But we just got married, but we've been living together for like 7 years. Okay. You know, so but I feel like when you get married, there is this like kind of like magical fairy dust that gets kind of sprinkled over the two of you. Yeah, it's definitely like, it feels like, you know, the glue has set, you know? And I mean, I think
Because it's going to take a legal document to make it not to take that glue apart.
No, and no, it's a good question. I was just trying to think if I hadn't thought about it this way, but any sort of stability, I think, is a good thing, especially in this life of just craziness, especially for a singer-songwriter. I feel like when my head is clear, that's when my like people. There's this like I think it's a misconception that you need to be miserable to create great work.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah, and I think it's actually quite I think being miserable once you come out of it will give you something to talk about.
Yeah.
But I don't think you need to create any misery because it's coming. Like, it's coming whether you like it or not.
Yeah, that's just life, man.
Yeah, but when you're truly miserable, you can't put on pants. How are you going to write an album?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? An album is an optimistic undertaking. It's saying, like, I'm going to do the I'm going to take 10 stories and put them out into the world, 10 poems, and hope that people are into that.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'm like gonna get up and do something.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. Because if you're miserable, nothing's happening.
You're like, fuck, what do I do? I'm just gonna watch Cheers.
What's on TV today?
Right.
Speaking of Cheers, I love Cheers.
Cheers is my go-to sadness show.
Norm.
If I'm sad, I'm going with Cheers.
Yeah. I just got, not to go completely, whatever. We'll talk about Cheers for a second. I got into Cheers like, ooh, that's some feedback. I got into Cheers like hard last year.
Well, because it's all on Netflix now.
It's all on Netflix now.
And you're a New Englander, so that's like an extra added cheersness.
And I prefer Cheers before Woody Harrelson and before
Kirstie Alley. Wow.
I really enjoy those early episodes.
Okay.
I'm not saying I don't like it, but I feel like the later it went on, it just became like this. I don't know. I really like
people sort of become caricatures of themselves.
Exactly.
They get too into the character, like they know what the character. I mean, that's every TV show, right?
Yeah. What's the old bartender's name?
We're gonna get so
we don't have to.
Yeah,
but
cut this part out. We don't tell anybody we don't know that.
I don't know. I like Cheers a lot, but anyway, I don't know. I find myself as a quote unquote songwriter, I find myself having a hard time like finishing thoughts and finishing some songs. So it's interesting to hear you say that you're taking these bits of ideas and turning them into songs and just making those complete thoughts and having a bunch of little ones and kind of like, is that accurate?
Yeah. I've definitely been writing like there was a point where I was trying to take on the entire meaning of life with every song and trying to like get to the bottom of it.
Bring every little thing. Were there like a ton of lyrics and you're trying to like
and you're just trying to
sift through everything.
Yeah, and you're just like, it's just like I'd listen to the demos back and I'd be like, what the fuck am I getting at here? Like,
where am I going with
like
this?
what am I, a shaman or some shit? The new stuff is definitely like smaller in concept.
Yeah.
And I think when you do that, you can reveal something much bigger, you know? And I'm just excited by that because I feel my best when I'm challenging myself as an artist.
Yeah.
When I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone. And that was something that was really, that was a big part of this album. And the producer, Andrew Sarlo, really pushed me on. Just like every sort of gimmick I would use, he would call it out and be like, do a song that doesn't have write me a song that doesn't have one of those.
Okay.
Write me a song that doesn't say anything positive.
Interesting.
And I would be like, as a songwriter, I'd feel really excited by that because it gives you focus when somebody sort of gives you an assignment.
Yeah.
Like when I think what people find so daunting about writing songs is when you're staring at a blank sheet of paper, you're like, this could be fucking anything.
Right.
This, like you're like, do I go with Tangled Up in Blue? Do I go with A Day in a Life? Like this is too humongous of a task to take on.
Yeah.
And then when somebody goes like, I need one in C, you're like,
I can do that.
You're like, yeah. He's the director and I'm the screenwriter.
Yeah.
And he's telling me we need a scene.
I have a place to start. I can develop this. I have a box to work in.
Yeah. And he and I actually did you know him at Berkeley, Andrew?
The name sounds really, really familiar, but I'm blanking on I can't see his face right now. But
so he's produced this latest record and he's a great producer. He did all the Big Thief records and Nick Hakim stuff, and he's He's just like a brilliant guy. And just
What were some of the things and like kind of ways that he got those songs out of you, or got like the production? Did you guys team up on that, or did he have like a real vision for your songs?
He did. He wrote like almost a soundscape journal for it all.
Really?
Yeah, it was so great to have somebody do that, because I felt like I could, for the first time, because I've kind of he's worked on the other records, but I've sort of been in the producer's chair.
Okay.
And that was sort of a control freakishness thing, and he was able. What I loved about this time is we just went back and forth, like no ego involved. He would be like, "This is a good song, but we don't need it."
Yeah.
You know, and like there was a point in my career where if I wrote a good song, it needed to go on the record.
Right.
You know,
Right.
because like they just were not in abundance.
Yeah.
And at this time around, it would be like I wouldn't take it personally if he was like, "Oh, no, not that song." I'm like, "All right, it's not gonna. I don't have to light it on fire. It still
Right.
stays in my back. I can play it at a show or whatever.
Right.
But it's not the song we need for this record.
Right.
And so back to the drawing board until I had the record.
Yeah, man.
You know. And I just felt so excited because every day was just like, all right, I'm gonna make another pot of coffee and see what we got.
And see what we come up with.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's really the answer. Like, is just getting up and brewing the coffee and sitting down with the guitar and just fiddling through until you come up with one thing, and then that snowballs into something else. And do you have like a plan of action for release and like touring and stuff? I know you already have 2 songs out. You just said that.
Yeah. So we're rolling out singles. It comes out on April 10th of next year.
Okay.
So we're rolling out singles all through the winter and into the spring when the album comes out.
Okay.
And so there'll be 5 singles in total, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
That's more than half the record. It's 9 songs, the record.
Whose idea was that?
I'm working with this distributor called Tone Tree.
Okay.
And
I'm not familiar with them.
yeah, actually, I think Liz is. Well, I don't want to speak for her. I think she's going to use them as well. They're pretty good. They've put out a lot of somewhat popular songwriter records, if you will. And they made a good point in saying, like, in the way people are consuming now, you kind of like need to be hitting them over the head to remind them that you got a record. Not like the big Taylor Swift could drop a record right now, and it would.
No, I know, but you need like.
But I can't.
Yeah, well, I mean, not many people can do it like that, but you know, you have to be out there and really selling it and
for
in
sure.
people's minds, and you know, and that's the hard part.
So we're starting a I hate saying the word campaign, but like a campaign at the top of the year.
Yeah.
Doing interviews, and in the meantime, getting ready for that, I kind of wanted to like talk to you and talk to a few different people and just talk about what it's like to be a musician right now. I think that I could share some insights that would make people feel like, you know, that
So
they've got
like?
a teammate. Well, it's like it's like this, man. No, it's usually shittier than this, honestly.
This is actually nice. Well, just to let people know, we're at, what's the name of this place? Newport Blues Cafe?
We're at the home of the blues, the Newport Blues Cafe in
I don't
Newport,
know how
Rhode Island.
this is the home of the blues.
Yeah, the home of the blues. When you guys remember when John Mayer invented the blues, right?
Yeah, back in Fairfield, Connecticut. I listened to that.
Yeah.
This seems like a cool spot. I'd never really been to like anyone's real show in Newport other than like the folk or you know, jazz festival or whatever, but nobody really plays around here.
I know, right?
I find it so hard, even playing in Providence. Like Carbon Leaf doesn't book shows in Providence just because, you know, we book shows in Fairfield, Connecticut.
I know.
Which
we all
doesn't
play
make
Fairfield. I played Fairfield like so many times.
which doesn't make sense to me because it's like, just go to New York,
right?
You know.
But you know it is.
But people won't.
Yeah, I think especially.
Sorry to anyone that lives in Fairfield.
No. I love Fairfield.
Yeah.
It's got that super duper weenie place. That's a great hot dog place.
Yeah.
I think that anytime there's a bigger market, it can be a little daunting just because there's so much going on. Like every time I play Nashville, it's a fucking disaster. You know,
dude. Anytime anyone plays Nashville, it's a disaster.
I don't know. Some people have great shows in Nashville.
Yeah,
I've seen some great shows in Nashville, but
you sold 100 tickets, but there's 200 people on your guest list.
Yeah, no, I would love that. But usually it's like It's usually like all of my friends are like, sorry man, I'm out of town,
Yeah.
and then I find myself and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah. Every time I go to Nashville, it's like I try to get people to come out, but there's always some fucking excuse or something's coming up. It's like, I don't know what it takes to get people to come to a show in Nashville.
You know, the further I go with touring too, I just there's not as much. You think you can logic your way into a good tour, but there's just like sometimes Monday night in the middle of nowhere sells out, and sometimes Saturday night in New York City is a bust.
Is destitute. Yeah. Well, it's so weird how that works. Like when we tour, like you said, like Mondays or Tuesdays have been some of our best shows.
Right.
And then that anticipation leading up to Friday or Saturday is too much, and there's too much hype, and then it doesn't live up to your expectations.
Yeah.
So
and then
it's
there's towns that I love that I consistently have had shitty shows in. There's towns that I don't love that have been like the best markets for me, and I can't even get a cup of coffee there, you know. But that's been the hard part. Not the hard part, but a hard part. You just have to let go and know that if you're playing the music, like it's part of a greater mosaic,
right?
You know?
It's gonna be right.
Yeah,
it's gonna
you
be
get
good.
up there and you play your songs, and hopefully you make a little money so you can move on to the next place and afford to keep the lights on. Yeah, but you have to keep it simple, because if you get too into the like the logic of it, it won't make any sense.
Does doubt in playing music ever creep up in you? Like, do you ever have the thoughts like, I'll give this a couple more years?
No, that's probably like a pretty psychotic thing, because it should. It should reasonably.
Yeah.
And I was saying this to a friend the other day. I think that like, if you're an artist, you there's some part of you it believes in magic, even if you consider yourself.
And I'm
a
not
realist.
Saying this because I think that you should give this.
It's okay. I couldn't if I tried. That's the truth,
because
man,
it is something that I have thought about. Like I got to a place where I was like, I don't know if this is working out. But it was also before I started working hard at it.
Right.
So once I started being like, you know what, I'm doing this.
Right.
That's when it was fine. I won't go back. So it's. Anyway, I just wanted to clarify that I don't think that you should hang it up.
No. Trust me, I'm not offended. I have never had any doubt about what I was going to do. Mm-hmm. Plagued with doubts about every aspect of everything, but overall, I have never doubted that that I was a lifer, just because I think on some level I have a mental issue. That's the truth. Like, I think that there's something wrong with me. Yeah. And wrong with everybody that does this. You would believe that
everyone in this place has problems.
Exactly. Well, because especially like when you're about to put out a new record, I talk incessantly with my friend Kenny because he's putting out a record with the same distributor. Okay. And you're constantly jumping without a net, and jumping without a net is a terrible idea.
It's a terrible idea.
And so far, the net has always caught me. Just at the last second, I'm like about to blow the whole thing, and then they add it to XM radio, and I'm like, oh, we got a song.
But admittedly, like you're not like if you release a song and maybe it doesn't get received well, it's not like that's it. You just do get another song. So or write another song and just keep at it. And
there are intangibles, and there are things that you don't realize that are working for you. That don't come up for 3 years, that don't surface.
Well, that's a crazy thing when it comes to music, because I've had conversations with people, like you said, like a couple years in advance, and then one day you get an email. Yeah. And it's like, oh, this is fucking cool. I'm going to open for who, where, what? Yeah. That's amazing.
And they're like, you know where I saw you?
Yeah.
And they're like, I saw you at the Southgate House Revival for 9 people in 2014, and you're like, oh
and
my
I thought
God.
You were great. But that's kind of like the everyday like discovery thing. That's like the real musician thing. Yeah. Because I've played soul crushing like acoustic solo gigs, playing covers and a couple originals, whatever, at a bar, and then someone came up to me and said how much they liked it, and they grabbed my card. I'm like, they're never going to contact me. And then maybe 6 months later, I get an email and they're like, I would really love if you played my party or something like that. And I'm like, wow, that really panned out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just it's a fucking weird.
I mean,
business.
it requires a weird belief in like that something's going to break your fall.
Yes.
Because if you, honestly, I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, if I actually added it all up, like it shouldn't have worked so far. You know what I mean? Like I should have run out of money or like but like something always caught me, and not
fight
like,
or flight.
Yeah, not like some, like it wasn't like and my folks haven't had to bail me out or anything like that. It's never been like that, but it's been pretty dire. I've eaten a lot of tuna fish, you know.
I eat a lot of tuna fish too.
I mean, I like tuna fish. No hate on tuna fish.
But you look great.
Thank you.
You're
It's
doing
great for your
great.
skin.
Tuna's working for you.
Thank you. I'm a little hungover, but
I will say you do have some of the best tattoos in the game.
Thank you. I appreciate. I'm not really showing them off right now, but it's a podcast.
You got the ring tattoo, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's so we don't lose our rings because we lose everything.
You have rings though?
No, just that we just got the tattoos on our fingers.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I actually just got a new one. I got a coffee cup on my arm. Well, you can't see it. I'll show you.
I want to
after.
see it. I want to see it.
I went in with this.
So you got Elvis.
Yeah, I got Elvis,
which is incredible.
I got Coney Island. I got an old postcard of Coney Island, and I got this coffee cup that I was. It's like the New York Greek coffee cup.
Okay.
And I was just like walking around with it, and I went into the tattoo parlor and asked the guy.
Do you have plans like filling out the arm with just? I love it when people have tattoos that are like little
Me too.
Standalone black and white.
Yeah.
Lauren Pritchard. Do you know who Lauren Pritchard is?
Yeah.
Lolo.
Yeah.
She has a lot of tattoos like that. They're just like linear tattoos.
Yeah.
And there's like a bunch of them, like random ones. I think that's like the coolest like way to do it.
Yeah, I like that.
Not like, and I love like a great traditional like Japanese tattoo, like sleeves and stuff, like the beautiful colors and stuff. But there's just something about the standalone black and whites that are just like really cool to me.
Yeah, for me, I feel like they represent like, I don't know, a time. You know,
here's a moment. Here's a moment.
Like
here
I was
and a
like
moment
26,
there.
and I went there, and I went out and got wasted after, and you know, and that was that day.
Do you have any that you regret?
None that I regret.
Or any that you're like, that could have been different or better?
You know what? How I feel about all of them is at one point, like, I'll hate them because sometimes I look in the mirror and I hate myself. You know what I mean?
Come on.
So I feel, anything you attach to your body, it just becomes
you.
It's like how you feel about yourself. Some days you look in the mirror and you're like, yeah, I'm all right. But then some days you look in the mirror and you're like, I need to lose 10 pounds or whatever. You know? So that's how you, and the first one, when I got the first tattoo, I thought like, oh, I fucked up. Then I realized as I got the other ones, like, oh, it's just, this is a me problem.
That's what I hear. I don't have any, and I've always wanted one.
Yeah.
And whenever John, the bass player in Carbon Leaf, he's always like, we're getting tattoos. He goes, let me know when you get one. We'll get matching tattoos.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I like the idea, but I'm just, I actually even have like credit for a tattoo shop of like one of the like a world-renowned tattoo artist who's based out of Richmond. His name's Jesse Smith, and he's been on like Ink Masters and all that stuff. And and John's gotten tattoos from him. I go to his shop all the time. We get dinner together all the time, and it's like, and I just have this not like at my disposal, but he will tattoo me if I want him to, and I'm like, should I do it?
Well, you know what? If I can encourage you, it's not as big of a deal like as you think. Like you are gonna be looking.
I know
closely
I'll do it. I know I'll do it, and I'll be like, what did I wait for? And then I'll want to get another one.
Yeah, well, yeah, and there definitely is some weird like
there's an addiction.
birthing ritual where you do feel the need to get another one. Because I swore I was getting one.
Yeah.
But I think that it's not as big of a deal as you think. Like, people aren't looking at you going like, oh, that guy's got a tattoo. Like, everybody's got a fucking tattoo.
Yeah, I don't feel that way about it. I don't know. I had like a weird, like just weird hangups, like not wanting to like, I don't know. It's just internal bullshit. That is the reason why I haven't gotten one. But I feel like the older I've gotten and the more, I don't know, more like don't give a shit, but I guess, the more I just don't give a shit.
Yeah,
like
well-
I'm like, I want to put a piece of artwork on me, you know?
Yeah,
I
and
want-
I when I see people with them, I think, oh, that person's not taking themselves too seriously. So
Yeah.
then then like the times where I like got one and thought like, oh, I don't know about that one. I'm like, it's not what it's about.
Yeah.
It's about. But I don't know. I don't have like an overriding theory about it. I just think it's good fun.
Yeah.
My parents hate them.
Your parents hate them.
They
I feel
fucking hate them.
I feel like they're just supposed to. I
Yeah.
feel like parents are supposed to hate tattoos.
I just tell them I'm decorating the body. I've just been here for 30 years, so
Yeah.
might as well put some furniture in.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on? Like what else? We're past an hour.
Yeah, that's
And it's after
cool,
6.
man.
It's after 6:00. If there's anything
Yeah.
you want to, I know these guys are going to start running tunes and everything.
Yeah,
So
no, that's cool, man. I think
that good?
we did it all.
we want to go up to the green room and play a song where it's probably quieter.
Yeah, let's try to do that.
All right.
Cool. This is the new single. It's called "Nothing Matters Anymore." It goes like this. Here we are at the brink of who knows. You got a good idea, Romeo. I lost faith in luck long ago. I guess I just switched teams. My Aunt Alice used to work for the Stones. Now she sits around the house alone, playing Scrabble on her telephone. I don't know what that means. Out in front of the drugstore lights, we're getting drunk on a Tuesday night. You do whatever you want with your life, I'll do whatever with mine. It just works like that. You learn to live or it breaks your back. I believe Mark Twain said that. Is that right? Oh yes, I'm sure. I used to worry about the way I talked. I used to think about the way I thought. I used to talk about myself a lot, but nothing matters anymore. Nothing matters anymore, she said. All the truth is irrelevant. Just look at the president. Can you believe this shit? And all the while I was thinking about this girl I met outside a bar downtown. She'd been giving me the runaround. I was waiting for the hint. She said she lived in LA, but now that all of her debts were paid, she'd probably move to New York someday if she could only swing the rent. Oh, it just works like that. You learn to live or it breaks your back. I believe Rick James said that. Is that right? Oh yes, I'm sure. I used to worry about the way I talked. I used to think about the way I thought. I used to talk about myself a lot, but nothing matters anymore. Oh, you try and try, but it's never enough. Some days you wanna give up and get a soda with your big kid lunch. You ought to supersize that. Oh, you've been gunning for the prize, and I know it's hard. You got a cynical mind and a big bad heart, it's true. Ooh, that's what I love about you. As I used to think about the way I thought, my God, I was a goddamn bore. I used to think that I could steer the plot, but nothing matters anymore. I used to worry about the way I talk. I used to think about the way I thought.
I used to talk about myself a lot, but nothing matters anymore.
Nice.
Thank you, sir.
That was great, dude. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
That was cool. I like that song a lot.
Oh, thanks, brother.